It is our great pleasure to welcome a regular contributor to Liquid Lunch. You could tell I'm waking my way through this Cuestillon tequila. The more difficulty I have formulating words. A regular contributor to Liquid Lunch, Pavlina Osta, host of If God Had a Podcast, and my colleague over at Salem Media. Pavlina, thank you as always for joining us.
Thank you, Frank.
So I am thrilled that California is doing something that I wish New York would do, and that has been way overdue. They're actually starting school later in the whole state. What's happening here?
Yeah, so basically what California is doing is, they are saying there's a lot of people that are mad that kids are sleep deprived, basically. They're saying that teens should be getting 8 to 9 hours of sleep, and they're not getting that. So they're having school start about 30 minutes later, so it's going to be starting around 8 o'clock. They're the first ones California's the first state to be doing this. And it messes up a lot of different things. Parents' 9 to 5 work schedules. I think it kind of promotes laziness within kids, like they're going to be waking up later. I personally wake up at 4 a.m. every single day. So I'm like, y'all need to get on it.
Until 4 a.m.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, you with me on that, so that's good.
So I have to tell you though, I think it's crazy to have these kids in school trying to learn when they're focused on just trying to stay awake. What's wrong with a later start time?
Well, like I said before, the 9 to 5, parent work schedule, that messes up, a lot of things for them, like either picking up or like whatever it may be with that. But then I also think that, the kids that do wake up earlier, they're going to have more time to get things done, I guess, but they'll be on social media, they'll probably be doing other things. I don't know, I think you just get to school early, get it out of the way.
You're not for the later start time?
I think kids should be going to bed at like a reasonable time, because they were saying that most kids go to bed around 11 o'clock, which is that's pretty late for kids.
One of the things I've read, and look, I don't pretend to be a scientist or a doctor or anything like that, but one of the things that I've read is teenagers specifically, their bodies become more accustomed or more designed towards staying up later and waking up later. But you don't buy that. You think it's all behavioral?
Well, that could be very true. That's very possible. But I personally think I don't know, I think it's good to wake up early.
I am all for these kids getting some more sleep. I wish I had a job that was starting a little later than it actually did. All right. So now, this was a fascinating story that I've been reading about everywhere. More Americans, including those with six-figure incomes, families or single people that earn over $100,000, are choosing to rent rather than buy homes. Why are they doing this?
So it's really interesting. Millennials that are making around $100,000, which is a lot, for a salary, they are choosing to rent because they have student debt, they have minimal savings, so they need to rent. Well, it's not. I don't know. I personally think it's not as good to rent. If I were able, I would want to buy, but they're choosing to rent. It's also interesting because millennials are wanting to have smaller families, so you don't need a huge house all the time. So there's also that.
Well, that's true. I married a woman recently that wants to buy a home, but I'll be honest, renting, which I do now, and I know they say it's a waste of money and you're not building equity in your home financially. It is so great when it snows not to have to worry about shoveling the walkway. It's so great not to have to worry about hiring someone to do the lawn or mowing the lawn yourself. I mean, there's a lot of advantages beyond just the, not having to come up with the money for a down payment and everything else. There are a lot of advantages lifestyle-wise to renting.
That's true. I don't know. I guess I've only ever lived in New York, so I don't really, well, and Florida, but I never had to deal with that stuff.
Do you think it's the same phenomenon behind millennials choosing to take Uber instead of wanting to buy a car?
I think so, yes. And there's also so much convenience, like you were saying. There's a lot of convenience in not having to pay car insurance and not having to deal with gas and all of those things, I'd rather pay more for an Uber.
So you are going against your generation as a generation, your Generation Z,
Generation Z, yes.
So you're going against your generation on both the sleep and the school start time and on renting.
Yeah, I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what they're doing anymore.
All right, you're a self-hating Gen Zer. What have you been doing on If God Had a Podcast? Anything exciting that we should be on the lookout for?
Yeah, just check it out. We've been interviewing a lot of cool people. I've been interviewing a lot of cool people, talking everything about, mental health, like physical wellness, all that fun stuff. So you don't want to miss it.
Well, check it out. It's on iTunes and so forth?
Everywhere.
If God Had a Podcast. Check out Morano in the Morning podcast as well.
That's you.
Speaking of mental health and wellness, we'll check in with John Tobacco next. You're watching Liquid Lunch on Newsmax TV.